Hey everyone, this is Rudi, and today we are back in Bad Rudisheim. In today's video we're going to do a huge expansion to our German town, and I'm going to talk a lot about German traffic issues and how we got to a devastating situation in Germany as we are right now, while we are talking about this huge expansion. So it's very worth sticking with me if you're into German situation regarding traffic and overall our transport system, because that is very necessary to understand how this project is gonna go forward. You will also see later on in the episode, towards the end, when we are in the real-time section, how I will approach the traffic system and what we are going to fix and what not, because what not is also important, because that is going to define a little bit of realism towards Germany. It might sound weird in the first glance, but in a couple of minutes you'll be a bit more enlightened, I hope. At least I will now give you a bit of a overview of what I'm doing on screen in that minutes that are going to follow right now. So you can see I'm laying out a little bit of a small layout for a kind of small town that is connected to the main town. So, as you know, Germany is a country that has a lot of different types of urban areas. You know, we've got a big city like Berlin, which is super huge. We've got our Western Ruhrgebiet, which is super dense, and you'll find a lot of towns merging into each other without actually knowing where one town begins and where the other ends. And then you've got like central Germany, where there's a lot of land, and then you have a couple of bigger cities near some rivers, as it always is in the history of, you know, Europe, and just in general humanity, I guess. And then you also do have the western southern area, which is going to be the main area I'm focusing on, which is the Eifel region, which does have a couple of towns, almost cities, you know, that grew bigger over time, but then there will be a lot of satellite towns around. This is one of those satellite towns. Now, what does this all have to do with traffic, you may ask? So first things first, this little town, as you can see, is having just one and a half main access roads, as I would say, and then there are a couple of smaller, very functional roads that go into the different, very urban residential areas where the people live. There's a little connection here to the industrial zone, and that's about it, you know. That's a small town, and these small towns usually exist because of certain industries. Like, they have formed because there has been work for the people, and this is why they are all very much scattered across the region, and you can almost pinpoint where they will be sitting by the fertile land defined by the map, which I think is interesting. Okay, now with these things in mind, we always have to think about that this is how it was in the past, you know. The reason why they formed is always like 2, 3, 4 centuries ago, or even more. And they had like a lot of work due to, for example, ore mining or coal mining or whatever mining or forestry or some farms. But most of these things have been taken over from like either bigger companies or is gone in general. So people have found work in bigger cities and bigger towns, and this is why some towns nearby, or maybe one town nearby, started growing. And this is the very core of Bad Rudisheim. Bad Rudisheim is one of these cities, one of these towns, benefiting from all the people around in a bigger, you know, country around that I don't want to say lost their jobs, but there's just like a natural transition into a bit more of an office work. You know, we are now in what kind of area of work we are in. You know, there's been the Industrial Revolution, and then now there has been the Digital Revolution, and we are in this state now just before the AI revolution, which is the next thing, which is going to change a lot. And this is kind of fun because we are at the very end of the development that caused Bad Rudisheim to exist in the way it is. And it's very interesting also to follow this development now, because you don't even, like, you can already see the first signs how AI and remote work and stuff is changing the face of cities again. Like, urbanization has been a thing for decades, but now you can see the very slightest marks and signs already that people are moving back to the countryside. And I am one of those examples, you know. I've been living with my wife over almost 8 to 9 years now, very close to Düsseldorf. And you know, without the pandemic in between and without the huge development towards the possibility of working from home for a majority of the time, we would have never moved back to the countryside. Like, it was like a distant dream, maybe, but it never was reality because like driving 5 times a week to Düsseldorf from over here, which is 50 kilometers away, is impossible. And without, without kids may be possible, but still, like, I have a daughter, I want to see her, and I don't want to see her only on the weekends. And this is the reality in Germany. And now this is all driving the traffic in many ways. The traffic has already been disastrous, but at least the people who lived very close to very central areas or very urban areas could at least take some public transport, even though public transport in Germany is a mess. It is absolutely a disaster. Maybe Berlin is kind of okay and Munich, but other than that, it is a disaster. Trains are the least punctual ones in Europe, and that's actually with evidence. It's not just me saying that. It is there are statistics about this, and it's funny. The statistic is even wrong because in most of the countries a delay is already measured after being 3 minutes too late. In Germany, a delay is measured after 6 minutes too late. So Germany would actually be worse if you compare it to the similar times, but that's a different story. And then there is our German industrial history. Germany has been very strong in one specific industrial area, and that is car manufacturing. Think of BMW, think of Mercedes, think of Audi, and so on, Volkswagen, think of the big ones. They are all from Germany, and this is why Germans love their car, and this is why we have the most cars per head, if you will, or per person in comparison to many other industrial countries. And we have a lot of roads, but we also have a lot of old roads, a lot of very, very old roads. So these things together create the mess we are living in right now. The amount of traffic, and that is actually very much scary, but the amount of traffic is already at an all-time high again in Germany, despite the pandemics and many more people working from home right now. The reason for that, there are many reasons for that. Despite having the new Germany ticket, Deutschland ticket as it's called, where you pay 49 euros a month and then you can go everywhere you want with that ticket, at least with the public transport, and not like you can't go with the high-speed train, for example, but you can take the regional trains everywhere for 49 euros. Which is a fair price. But the problem is not the availability of, it's fine to have cheap tickets because it hasn't been cheap in the past whatsoever. It has always been super expensive, and as in every other area as well, Germany is amongst the most expensive in Europe, and with public transport potentially even, I don't know for sure, but potentially even the most expensive in Europe. And then we have even the worst public transport network overall. So again, trains are old, the system is old, connections are old. We have a huge problem with staff at the moment. Like the Deutsche Bahn needs double the amount in personnel and staff because they don't get them enough for them to have enough people driving the trains and running the trains, repairing the trains and so on and so forth. It's a disaster, okay? And so that is why the traffic in Germany overall is a disaster. Even though people would love to go by train or by tram or by subway or by bus, it is literally impossible for those who live further away than, let's say, 10 kilometers. And even it depends a lot how these 10 kilometers, like in the Ruhrgebiet, maybe that works because it's very dense and a lot of trains and stuff are connected. But, go to a different city that is very centristic to one thing, and then 10 kilometers is quite a lot already. Well, you're doomed because then again, it's all done. Now, moving into the next part of this video, you've seen I've fixed so much with traffic, industry, putting new energy resources down and all these things. Now we are finally in a situation in which we are going to bring a bit more industrial zones with some farms and fields in, because that is something that was lacking from this region so far, but also because the fertile land is a bit weird on this map, I gotta say. Also, it's not my favorite map, I have to admit at this point. I did a wrong choice at the beginning. I would have chosen another one now, but as we are in here and quite nicely progressed through it, we're gonna continue on this one. But just to follow up on the point, all these things I've talked about are very important to this series, because if you take all this into account, that is going to be leading my decisions on how I'm going to solve some traffic issues we have. You'll see later on in the real-time part that my traffic is already a lot better than it used to be in the last episode. By the way, if you haven't seen the last episodes or the beginning of the series, I highly recommend to pause the video now, go back to those videos, watch them first, and then come back to the moment in this video where you skipped to, or maybe if you skipped here, I see you. Do the same, watch the other videos too, so you know where we're coming from. We had some huge issues, and also by putting down a train like that, as you can see, we are fixing some of the issues. Let me stick on the train for a second, just as we are building this. Now, the train system in Germany has suffered also from, well, the development of the industry. Now, as the car industry in Germany grew stronger and stronger, many people didn't need the train anymore. There used to be a quite decent train network in Germany in the past, like let's say 60s, 70s, 80s in Germany. 80s maybe has already been too late, but the 60s, 70s have been quite decent. You know, my grandpa told me a lot about this. Also, he showed me a lot of books where you could see where the old train networks were, and they reached up into the smaller towns even, and that was like very nice connection. And then you even had like some very nice trams going from my local town, which is Viersen, which is a very tiny one, to Mönchengladbach and then to Düsseldorf even. But like with the car industry rising and everyone, or more people, not everyone, but a lot of people now being able to purchase a car, they didn't need the train because cars were more comfortable, they were cheaper, because, you know, gas prices haven't been that insane back then. And obviously, since there haven't been too many cars out there, traffic wasn't really that much of a big deal. And so people began to, well, actually take away the trains because, you know, all the minerals in there and the, you know, the iron and stuff like that was very much important for them to use in other areas, you know, to make sure that the industry is going well. So what the Germans did is they took apart most of their railway connections to the smaller regions to use the materials again to create something else. And back then it seemed like a good idea. Now it hasn't, as it turns out right now. It would have been so much more easier to keep them. And funny enough, a lot of these old areas will now be refurbished in the big plan that that our government made. You know, depending on how the household has been decided or will be decided in the coming days, because not sure if you've heard that, but Germany is missing some mere 60 billions, just like a little bit of money, you know. They don't know how to, you know, get this back, so maybe they will stop the program eventually. But if not, the program actually will reinstate a lot of these old trains, you know, and old routes, which are basically gone by now, but they will do it again. It's kind of hilarious to see that. But all of that together is creating a huge challenge for Germany. And as long as this challenge is there, you will not see traffic jams and stuff going down. And this is something that leads this project, because roads and traffic is a huge deal in Germany, and so we will have this as a part of the series. So we have to work around that, make sure that we offer the people enough different ways to get somewhere, but then again, don't give them too many. We can't do too much with subways, we can't do too much with trams, because that's not realistic. That's not how it is in Germany. We would solve that with highways or with other roads, you know, like more roads. That's our solution for most of the times, or has been our solution for most of the times. And still is a suggestion right now, where a lot of people are now protesting against, because German Minister for Transportation and Digital is again suggesting more highways, which is kind of ridiculous at this point. But yeah, what else shall we say? You know, they're focusing again on cars, because as the car industry in Germany is dying rather quickly because of missing the change to electro or like EVs and the whole more smart infrastructure, they have a huge issue in comparison to the world leading industry in China and also Korea and well, Tesla as well, you know. So not all of them will be dying, but a lot of them will suffer for a long time. And so Germany is trying everything to help them out. Well, by focusing the country still a lot more on cars than they should. And yeah, I hope this is interesting to you, because that is very important to understand to why I do certain decisions here and why focusing so much on cars and building so many roads, while other people would now go into making a new modern series in like a carless city center and everything perfect with like public transport and a lot of train connections and a lot of subways and everything nicely together. Something I'm gonna do to try in Westwood. But yeah, that's not how Germany works. That's just not how Germany works. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to bring this to you. But we're almost done here with the time lapse. And you can see we built so many little towns. I actually will do 2 or 3 more, not in the time lapse included, so you'll see them in a couple of seconds in the real-time part. But I had a lot of fun. This was the first time I really had a good time in City Skylines when it comes to really just going with the flow and building a lot of nice things. I absolutely enjoyed doing this. It has been such a pleasure to find the nice spots and try to, play a little bit with the zoning, making sure it looks all a bit more organic, and then connect them with these country roads here. Really nice, but now it's time to see it in action. So I'll hand you over to the real-time Rudi. Enjoy. And with that, welcome back to the real-time part, and where we are going to quickly look into the current state of the city. As you can see, the demand is still insane, and we are even growing some office demand again. Our finances are very well working at this point, because the city is now working pretty well. A couple of things have changed over the time, has had massive input. I changed some of the industrial zones so that there is a lot of stuff growing, but we also do have some cogeneration plant over here. As you can see, they are pretty good because they can process quite a lot of waste and also turn them into energy. So we do have quite a nice energy surplus that we can trade quite well, which is awesome. We also do have our backup battery. We also have a solar plant over here that is producing some really good stuff now. I mean, we are in spring, so that is pretty obvious. So a couple of things that really work out well. And if we go into the finances, you can actually see that now with taxes increasing, because also education is increasing, we do make quite a lot of stuff. We still don't do that well in production. I mean, we do have a bit of surplus in the forest stuff. We do have a bit of surplus in the grain and stuff like that. But other than that, the only thing that works kind of well is stone. As we go into the material goods, you can see a couple of little things work fine over here. Minerals do good, but then again, also stuff like convenience food just doesn't work for whatever reason, and that might go down to forest industry. The furniture does work very well indeed, and in the immaterial goods, we don't really make too much money out of this anyways, but we do have a bit of a surplus here in meals, in entertainment, and in recreation, which obviously goes down to our racetrack. Obviously, that is all it cares about. Now, as you can tell, we also have increased the overall available space we have. There is still quite a lot to purchase from over here. My plan is to really bulldoze all that water area down here. As it is Germany, I still want to stick to the river, so I'm gonna do this river. We'll continue this river down the way here, but that's gonna turn all into landmass eventually, which obviously is going to help with the overall setting of the city. But I guess first of all, we're going to branch out to the upper area here, because that's the natural river anyways. But yeah, we just moved into the 11th level over here, so that means we just have unlocked a couple of things and I purchased them. But you can see where it's going now. All these little villages forming up over here and growing pretty nicely now. You can see there are a couple of customers lacking over here, so we will eventually go and increase the size of these small towns just to a bit more. This is a proper blueprint to how it all is going to look, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing right now. It's all going to start to look well. Now we have access to a bit more fertile land, as you can tell. In this corner over here, there is a bit over here available, but not really that much. There's a tiny little corner over here available to us. So that's going to be a bit more of a huge farmland and also like a little town. And so these little farmlands will define where most of the towns are sitting. So this is going to be more like a bigger one here. And then up here, there's going to be a bit more of an urban center anyways connected to these towns. So I really want to fill in this bit over here. I think this is going to be the next major expansion we are going to do into this like little corner of the river. It's going to look very pretty, and we are already pretty developed in the city anyway, so this is going to have like a, you know, that might be the second bigger area of this overall town, and I'm going to expand this town forward to this lower end here. I gotta say though that this is the end of the urban city. The rest is gonna look like more scattered, like everything else I've done over here, simply because that is just how Germany looks. And I will also get a lot more elevation in. As you can see over here, this hill is already pretty much shown where this is going, so I'm gonna include a bit more of a hilly landscape everywhere. Even though I'm not really happy with how the mountain looks as of now, I will change a couple of things, remove some of the trees here from the very steep ends, and you know, just a couple of fixes will be needed in the next episode. But that episode over here was a huge one in terms of improvement. I am absolutely happy with how this whole changed. Like, this industrial zone has changed into a commercial zone. We are going to start emptying this landfill now, as we have the reincarnation plant, and we also have a bit more recycling stuff over here, so that is also good. The recycling centers starting to fill the garbage in and producing a bit of you know, energy out of these two. I guess are they doing energy? I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but they will at least recycle that and get the stuff back into the material good cycle. And as you can see, the traffic is not fixed, but it is a lot better. I mean, we are late in the day right now. It's 11 p.m. But if you wonder, for building and stuff, I always have the day-night cycle deactivated. There are forming some traffic jams over here in this region where they will be able to get into the industrial zone, which grew ever so much. But I also integrated some railways. As you can see, this was not in the time-lapse. So just to follow this around, you can see there is the railway coming from this end, going into the towns, and then this town over here actually has a train station, which means I'm going to connect this little town, that one lower end here, and there's going to be another one over here. They will all be connected to this train station, as this will be their major point of public transport when it goes to go into the city, other than the highway. And then if we follow this around, the main station is gonna be here. As we can tell, this huge city is still gonna expand a couple of things like meters over here. The biggest challenge will be that I'm going to avoid the high residential buildings, because this is not how it looks in Germany in these areas. So that is already the highest we are going to go to, because other than that, this is not going to be realistic. So we have to fill in the demand of the people with smaller buildings, which I'm going to look forward to, because it's going to be very exciting to do that. I still have to debate with myself how I'm going to integrate this you know, highway over here. I assume the final result will be bringing this one down into the ground, and as you know, getting this one over, maybe let it come out here and recycle into this highway, because I don't see this coming anywhere into the center. Yeah, maybe up here. I'm not sure. I still don't know what I'm going to do with this area. I may actually do a little recreation area here on the other side of this industrial zone. So just making this all a bit more nice looking, because this has been our first industrial zone. It's going to be reinstated into something else. I'm going to get rid of this coal power plant. Actually, you know what? We can actually get rid of it right now, because we don't need this anymore. So let's see if we can... Hello? Is that like... Do I have to delete this like this? You should bulldoze this. Yes, I am. Can I not just bulldoze the building? Or does it take a while until it's gone? Do I have to take the... Huh. Okay, I'm not sure why I can't. Can I move it though? I can move it. Anyways, this is gonna go. I'm not sure how exactly I'm gonna do this, but this is definitely gonna go, because now we don't need this anymore. We can make this area a lot better, and we can also focus on improving the traffic, because this area still is a bit of a mess when it comes to traffic. However, I have fixed a lot of things by just removing some of the high density residentials, and then I increase the flow by just putting in a couple of connections into the main city. As you can see, all the bridges over here help with diverging the traffic, so that is really what helped me solving these issues. I also looked into making sure that, as you can tell over here, we have like a one-way direction going in, a one-way direction going out, and then we've got a tramway going in here, so that, you know, all the traffic things are, as much as it can, fixed. You know, it's never going to be fully fixed, as this is Germany, and this is part of the realism that Germany faces every single day. So we won't get rid of all the traffic issues. You know, even though I think I wouldn't even be able to in this game at this point. But yeah, I'm very pleased with the progress we had so far. So let me know what you would love to see in the next one. I am very happy. I know that, you know, people are waiting for more updates to see the Skylines 2 and stuff like that, but I'm very happy with the progress, and Bad Rudisheim is developing very nicely indeed, and I'm very much looking forward to how this is gonna look in the future. Also, once all the trees are fully grown, you can really tell how much of a difference it makes once you have fully grown trees, like this one over here. It's gonna be all changed, a lot has to be improved, and, you know, again, I've got so many ideas to integrate into here. Some other things that may come in the future, and you know, just trying to get this German vibe going here. That's gonna be my main focus of this series. So hopefully you enjoyed that one, and I'll talk to you in the next one.